I love gifting. I love creating. I love unique. And I love handmade. When I put all those things together and come up with a gift that is just totally awesome, I'm happy. In this video, I'm going to show you how to design and make a sublimated coaster using Canva and Cricut. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get to it. Hi everyone, I'm Vanessa S of By Vanessa S and welcome to my channel. And if you have been here before, welcome back to my channel. Gifting is a love language and well, it's my love language. I love gifting, I love creating, but I really do have a soft spot for things that I make that are truly unique, that once I create it, and I give it to someone, they're the only ones that have it. Well, these coasters that I made, the idea is not unique because I've seen them before, but I saw them with cocktails. But I decided, since I don't do cocktails, to make them with a beverage that I do, which is smoothies. And so I'm going to show you how I created these sublimated coasters using Canva and Cricut. So let's go through the process. We're going to start in Canva, and I'm going to take you through the mechanics mostly because I want you to see how I created the designs that I created. So we'll start with the size. So the size that I use for this creation is going to be a 4x4 square. And that's because in Canva, in order to do a different shape, you have to create the square first and then create the shape. Okay, so we have a square, and I'm going to make the square a different color. Let's say purple, a lighter purple there. Okay, but then I'm going to add a circle. The reason I am adding a circle is because the coasters that I'll be sublimating are circles. Okay, so I'm going to use a white circle, and I'm going to set the size of the circle at 3x9, 3x9 by 3x9. If you look in the bottom corner, you'll see a black box that has the dimensions. Now, if you've never used Canva before, Canva is pretty simple to use, and it's a great program, especially if you are very creative. Okay, so we have our 3x9 circle now. And again, the square is just a placeholder. The circle is where we want to add everything. So what we are going to add to the coaster is a design, a title, and the ingredients for the beverage. I am a smoothie drinker. I'm not really a cocktail drinker. I am a smoothie drinker. So I'm going to start with, let's say, a kale smoothie. So in your search box in Elements, you would add smoothie. Now you can use photos or you can use graphics. I like the graphics. It was just an element that to me looked better. Okay, and so now here are all of the beverages, the smoothies. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to start with this one. And I'm going to show you what happens. So, okay, this is the one that I have. Now, this doesn't really look like a kale smoothie to me. But if you look at the magic recommendations over here and see all, now there are other options for you. I'm going to take one that looks like a kale smoothie. So I'm going to delete this one and take this. Now they have some really nice ones for whatever type of smoothie you're going to do. I'm going to use this one though. I like this one. Now that I have added the image, I want to add the ingredients. I'm not adding the full recipe because of course it's not going to fit. I'm just going to add the ingredients. Now I don't like this text. This is just the way it came out. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove this. Kale Crush is the name of this smoothie, and so I'm going to add that, but not here. Then I'm going to add my title up here. Now, I'm not concerning myself right now with how it looks. We're going to fix it up later. So Kale Crush, and notice I'm putting it in two different text boxes, and there's a reason for that. So the name of the smoothie is Kale Crush, and this is the ingredients. All right, now that I have all the elements, the title, which is Kale Crush, the ingredients, and then the image of the smoothie, now I can actually start creating a design around it. I'll start with the title. Now, I feel like the title should be big and bold. I have favorites as far as text are concerned, so I'm just going to use those. Like I said, I really just wanted to show you how I did this. So I like this text called Kushan Script. I'm going to use that for Kale. For Crush, I'm going to use Rosella Inline. And then for the recipe itself, I'm going to use Insignia, which is another font that I really like. It can take hours, and you can just spend a lot of time trying to figure out fonts. I do it often. It normally takes me longer just trying to find a font than it tries for anything else. Okay, so this doesn't look right. So this needs to be designed, right? So what I'm going to do is, I know that I want the Crush to be smaller, but I want the Kale to be the star of the show. And all I had to do was resize it. So Kale, you can make it as large as you want. Having the circle is very important because it helps you to visualize what the sublimation is going to look like. So this is what it's going to look like right now before I actually clean it up. But after I clean it up, the final design, that's what is going to sublimate. Okay, so I like the way the title fits and the Kale Crush. I like the way that looks. And now I need to work on the ingredients. So there's a couple of ways to do this. Of course, you can use your alignment. I like the way it is justified left, but it still looks kind of off. So what I'm going to do is just make everything a little bit more even so it doesn't look crazy. Because remember, whatever way you print this is the way that it's going to look when you sublimate it. And you can't fix it. Okay, so so for my Kale Crush, 3 to 5 leaves, kale leaves is good, but it's not offering a lot of space over here, so I'm going to just space once to give it just a little bit more space and look neat, because I want it to look very neat, very sharp. These are all the ingredients. I can pull it out just a bit more. Okay, and now I'm going to move it over here. Now, I'm not going to concern myself with this too much right now. It's fine the way it is, but here's what I want to spend just a few minutes on, because I want this to be also the star. This is the enticing part of the whole design. So I want it to be large, and I want it to stand out, but at the same time, it needs to fit. Okay, so I am there. I'm making everything fit and aesthetically pleasing. Now, I like that. Here, though, I am very much opposed to stuff touching. So I'm going to move this over. And you want to make sure that you're paying attention to your edges, because if your edges, like up here, if you put it too high up, it's going to cut off, and that's going to be an issue for your design. So you definitely want to pay attention to that. When sublimating, you definitely also want to pay attention to overlaps, and that's one of the reasons why I don't like for things to touch, because when it heats, it's like the two colors will, join together, and sometimes it just doesn't come out right. Okay, so I actually like this. I think it's cute, but I do think it's missing something. I think a little bit more. So let's see. We can take any one of these ingredients and just add a little something. I'm thinking maybe coconut, since coconut is one of the ingredients. So let's go back over here to elements, go to coconut. Okay. I like this. And so as you can see, there's several coconuts, so you just have to choose which one you want. I like this one here. Okay. And this is a watercolor coconut too, so that also plays into what the rest of the design looks like. So I'm just going to bring this over here like so. Move this over a little. Bring this coconut down here. Make it just a tad bit smaller. And you know, I'm also going to turn it. Okay, there. Okay. All right, so now we have all of the elements of the design. And this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so now that we have the design, the next thing for us to do is to download it and add it as a photo so that we can upload it to Cricut Design Space. So when you download it, you don't need anything except for the design that's inside the circle. So you can remove the purple box as well as the circle. And this is all you need. You just need the design. When you download it, you want to download it with a transparent background because you don't need a background for it. You just want the design. That's all, just this part right here. So we're going to download it, and then once it's downloaded, I'm going to upload it into Design Space. All right, now that we are in Design Space, like I said, we're going to upload the image into Design Space. So this is a design that we're uploading, and because it's a print then cut project, the best image type to use is the complex. And this is what you should have. And the reason why it looks like this is because you had the transparent background. So there's nothing for you to have to erase, and you don't have to change anything. So we're going to apply, we're going to do a print, then cut image and upload. Then we're going to insert this into the canvas. Okay. So now we have the canvas. Now, once again, we need our circle. It's important that we have the circle because, again, we have to fit it. But from here, we're going to print it. And we want to make sure that it's printing in the right dimension. So now I'm going to create the circle. I'm going to make it 3 by 9 to start, just so it'll be big enough. And I'm going to change the color again to white. All right, so now this is a 3 by 9 circle. 3 by 9 is the same size as the coaster. So as you can see, we have one image, and we are going to put this one image in this circle. Notice it's behind the circle. You're gonna have to bring it forward. There we go, so we can see it. I'm gonna take it and move it right here. And I'm going to make this larger so that we can work in it. Okay, now, all right, so here's the image. And as you can see, it's one image, so you can pretty much move it anywhere and size it how you want. Right now, the size is 2.16 by 288. It can go larger, and there you go. So there's plenty of space here. The oddity of this is that it's round. It's a round coaster. So if you want to change how it's moving within the circle, this little lock up here you go. Unlock it, and then you can move it a little better to make it a little wider, to make it fit like you want it. There. Now, I tend to like 3.6 if I can get it there. If not, that's fine too. But there is one more thing I want to do. Okay. So that looks good. However, I think it's a little flat. I think it could use a little bit more, just a little something, not a lot. So I'm thinking maybe something like a sparkle or some stars or something like that. So let's see what we can find. We're going to images, and I'm just going to add sparkle. But I want something that's going to pop and give it just a little dimension. It just needs a little depth because right now it looks a little flat to me. I like these, and I'm taking all three only because I don't know which ones I'm going to use. All right, so I like all of these. The question is, what is it that I want to do with it? I just want to add a little bit of dimension, something just a little bit. And so I took all three of these just to see which one fits, what's going to give it a little bit more depth. I think that's cute, but that doesn't do it for me. And, you know, you can change a lot of this. You can turn it upside down. You can flip them. Flip is one of my favorite. And yes, I am talking through this as I'm doing it with you. Now, I do like that, but and I'm going to delete these other two. I do like this, but there is an issue of color. All the rest of this is green, and that blue doesn't resonate with me. So I'm going to change the color. That's okay for a color. To me, that's even better. I think I'll go with this green. If you don't like the color, you can always change the color. You can use the standard colors that are here, or you can use the hex color. It's easy to find hex colors. All you have to do is Google hex color for whatever color. Hex color for green, hex colors for purple, and you'll get the numbers. And you can just add the numbers here, and then it'll give you that particular color. But I like the way this looks now. I like the dimensions that it has, and I think we're going to keep it this way. All right, so here's one of the technical aspects, the mechanics of this whole project that I want to make sure that I cover. Okay, so what you have here is you have an image that's on a circle, and I have added another image element. If you were to try to print this now, if you tried to make it, click on here and make it, what's going to happen is that all three of these are going to be separate. You'll have a separate, and I'll show you, let's show you what it looks like. So here you'll have the image, and then on another mat, you have the circle, and then on another mat, you have these stars. That's not what you want at all. What you want from this project is to be able to print the design and then have the whole design cut, the whole circle, so that you can place the sublimation onto the coaster. To do that, you need to flatten this feature here, flatten the design. When you flatten the design, it makes the whole design one. See here? So what's going to happen is once you print this and you take it to your machine to cut it, it's going to cut the circle out and not try to cut out the words or the images or anything like that, because they're not separate, they're all one. Another thing you want to do now that we're here in this space is you want to mirror the image. And the reason why you're mirroring the image is because once it prints and it's cut, you want to be able to lay it flat onto the coaster, but you want it to be left to right. You want the image to be left to right so it's readable. If you don't mirror the image, it's going to print right to left. It's going to print this way. But when you turn the sublimation paper over onto the coaster, it's going to read backwards. So you must mirror. So let's send this to the printer and get ready to sublimate. Okay, so the sublimation design is printed and cut. I used my Cricut Maker 3 to cut it, so it was a print then cut. For this next part, you're going to need the coaster and some transfer tape, some heat transfer tape. The first thing to do is take just some alcohol and wipe the coaster down. Just a little bit of alcohol just to get any oils or any debris or anything that's on it off. Now, remember I told you that you would need to print this as a mirror. Notice that when you print it as a mirror, it prints left to right. The reason that you're printing it as a mirror is because when you turn it over, this is the right way for it to sit on to the coaster, and your design is read left to right. So that's the reason why. Okay, so now that we have our sublimation design, and don't worry about the colors unless you see something totally off with the colors. The colors are going to heat pretty much near the colors that you had on your computer. And something I didn't mention that I wanted to mention, when you get ready to print, you want to print with the setting of no bleed. The reason why you want to use no bleed is because you have text. And if you don't put it on no bleed, this will come out blurry. Your text will come out blurry down here because it's such small text, and this text here will come out blurry. So you want no bleed. And if you have your setting on no bleed, this is how it should come out. Okay. So this part is fairly simple. What you want to do is you want your sublimation on your coaster. It's going to be on the shiny side. And then you want to line it up. Now, here's a trick, something I do. Take a piece of my tape, and I'll put it on the side, and I will put it on the bottom side. And that's just to hold it still. I don't want it to move around while I'm taping the rest of it. So this is just to hold it still. So when you tape it down the first time, you want to make sure that your design is inside of the circle of the coaster. And you do that by shifting it. And what will happen is when you shift the design properly, what you'll find is that on the sides and maybe at the bottom, you'll have some excess, which is fine. So the next thing that I do is, after I've made sure that none of my design is hanging off of the coaster, I will go ahead and put another piece of tape on the opposite side. I'm putting it tightly. Okay. I'm doing it that way. All right. So now it's pretty secure. Now I can also see if my design is truly inside. And you can also see where your excess is. Okay. And that's the part, the excess is the part that you're going to have to trim. If at the top you find that there's just a little excess here, it's okay to just tape it down. And you can tape it any kind of way that you want. Sometimes I tape it from side to side like that, this way, underneath. It just depends. What you're wanting is for the design to be secure. Now, here is where I have, on my bottom side, I have excess. So I'm just going to cut the excess. This is what the bottom looks like, and this is what the top looks like. It's on pretty secure. You want to make sure that it doesn't move. Now, it's time to go to the heat press. I'm waiting for the heat press to warm up to 400 degrees. And while I'm doing that, let me show you how we're going to press. Make sure that you have either a Cricut mat or some type of ironing mat below your heat press. Okay. You want to put a piece of butcher paper down as a barrier, and then you're going to take your coasters and put the design side down. Okay. Then you're going to take another sheet of butcher paper and put it on top. When you press it, you're going to take your heat press or whatever you press with and put it on top of the coasters. If you have 4 of them, you're going to put them all in close proximity, and then you're going to add the heat press to it. You don't have to press it or hold it down or anything. You can lay it down and leave it there. 240 seconds is supposed to be the optimal time. I press at 240 seconds with my Cricut Heat Press 3, but I will look at it, I eyeball it to make sure that it's pressed, like I can see the sublimation come through. If not, I will just add the heat press back down on it for about 15 seconds. Okay, my heat press is ready. So I'm going to take the heat press. Notice it's at 400 degrees and it says 240 seconds. The sublimation coaster is right here. I'm going to put it on top like that and let it hit go and let it do its thing. While it's heating, I have these silicone little mitts that are very helpful when it comes to sublimating anything, because once it's heated, the item is very, very hot. And so to turn it or handle it or anything, even with my cups, I use these to turn them so that I don't burn my hands. I got these from Amazon, and I think they came 3 in a pack in like 3 different colors. But these are very handy little mitts to have. We are at the reveal. So let's see what we have done here. Now, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes for it to totally cool. I'm a little impatient. But it is, as you can see, it's a little warm, but not hot to touch. So, and you can tell that it's sublimated because you can see the sublimation design clearly. The question is, how well did it sublimate? And it should have sublimated very well. So let's reveal. I love making these because they're quick and they're easy. They're fun to design. They're unique. You can put your own spin on it. No one else in the world will have what you've done unless you make multiple, of course. And they're fairly inexpensive, but more than anything, they're just beautiful. All right, so let's see what we have here. And I want you to know that we're seeing it together for the first time. Beautiful, just beautiful.